Welcome to the Two Beans in a Pod. Today we're doing a deep dive into something that really shows how quickly a weird local event can spin into a massive global conspiracy.
It's a fascinating story with two very different sides. On one hand, you have the facts of what happened in late 2024 and early 2025, this wave of drone and UAP sightings that really gripped the East Coast, especially New Jersey.
And on the other hand, you have the absolutely spectacular story that got attached to it, Project Bluebeam.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to unpack what actually went on during those months, why people were so panicked, and how a wild theory about space holograms and, mind control suddenly became relevant again.
And it was the sheer scale that opened the door for all this speculation. We're talking about federal agencies looking at over 5,000 separate reports. That kind of volume creates a vacuum, and, well, some pretty wild theories rushed in to fill it.
Before we jump in, if you like what we do, please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out. Okay, so let's start with the facts on the ground. What was actually happening over New Jersey in late 2024? What were people seeing?
Well, the main wave really kicked off around November 2024. It was centered over New Jersey at first, but it didn't stay there.
It spread out, right?
It spread fast. We started getting reports from New York, from Pennsylvania, and then eventually from places as far-flung as Ohio, Florida, even California.
And a big part of the fear was where these things were being seen. This wasn't just lights over some random field.
No, not at all. That's what escalated things. The sightings were often clustered around really sensitive areas, critical military bases.
Oh, which one?
Specifically, Pekanini Arsenal, which is a major hub for munitions research, and Naval Weapons Station Earl. When you have unidentified objects hovering near places like that, the conversation immediately shifts from, that's weird, to, is this a national security threat?
I remember the headlines were just out of control back then. They were fueled by a few specific stories that seemed like absolute proof something bad was happening.
Oh, absolutely. Two of them really got massive traction. One was a claim that a drone actually blocked a medical evacuation helicopter.
Wow.
And the other was reports of drones spraying some kind of gray mist. People, they ran with that. It sounded like hostile action.
So you have this huge task force, DOD, GHS, FBI, the FAA. They look into these claims. What did they actually find?
Well, they found explanations. In the medevac case, for instance, it turned out to be a misidentified commercial plane, not a drone at all. And the gray mist, that was chalked up to atmospheric phenomena, just, weird weather effects you can get near the coast in the cold. It sounds spooky, but it wasn't nefarious.
So after sifting through more than 5,000 reports, what was the big final conclusion from the government?
The conclusion was, honestly, a bit of a letdown for a lot of people. They found zero evidence of any real threat or, anomalous activity.
So what were they?
The joint finding was that most sightings could be easily explained. They were authorized commercial drones, police drones, hobbyists, or just people misidentifying normal planes.
You mentioned routine celestial objects, too. How do you mistake a star for a high-tech drone?
It sounds ridiculous, but it happens all the time. The main culprits were the constellation Orion and the planet Venus, which can be incredibly bright.
But Venus doesn't move. It doesn't buzz a naval base.
It doesn't, but your brain can make you think it does. It's a phenomenon called autokinesis. If you stare at a single point of light in the dark for too long, it will appear to move or drift. So you combine that with social contagion. Everyone is already primed to look for drones, and you get a mass panic. The whole thing really fizzled out by January 2025.
So the objects were normal, but the reaction was the real phenomenon.
That's a perfect way to put it. Although it is important to note that behind the scenes, some security analysts were still suspicious that foreign surveillance could be involved in at least a few of the cases.
And that little bit of uncertainty, that feeling that the official story, it was Venus, is just too simple. That's the perfect bridge to Project Bluebeam, isn't it?
That is the exact pivot point. This is where the whole thing connects to this decades-old, incredibly elaborate conspiracy theory.
So what is Project Bluebeam? Where did it even come from?
It originated back in 1994 with a Canadian theorist named Serge Monast, and it's one of the biggest, most all-encompassing conspiracy theories out there.
What's the core idea? What's the supposed end game?
The central claim is that NASA and the UN are secretly working together on a plan to create a massive global hoax.
A hoax to do what?
To establish a totalitarian New World Order. And they'll do it by staging either a fake alien invasion or a fake second coming of Christ, using unbelievably advanced holographic and mind control technology.
That's a huge leap from drones over New Jersey. Why does a theory from the 90s have so much staying power?
Because it's a very clever mix of old and new fears. It taps into ancient apocalyptic religious ideas, the Antichrist, the end times, and fuses them with very modern anxieties about technology, government secrecy, and surveillance.
And the drone sightings in 2024 were the perfect trigger. The government didn't have a quick, satisfying answer, so people went looking for a bigger one.
Precisely. In the 90s, the idea of projecting giant holograms from space sounded like pure fantasy. But now, we live with deepfakes, augmented reality, incredibly realistic VR. The idea that technology could be used to fool us on a massive scale feels, well, it feels a lot more plausible now.
And Monast didn't just have a vague idea. He laid out a whole 4-step plan for this thing.
Oh, yeah, it's incredibly detailed. It starts with what he called Phase 1, archaeological breakdown.
Okay, what does that mean?
The theory claims they would use artificial earthquakes to unearth new discoveries. These discoveries would be specifically designed to discredit all the major world religions, making people question everything they believe.
So you destabilize belief systems first.
You soften the ground psychologically. And Monast even said sci-fi movies like 2001 or Independence Day were a part of this, getting us used to the idea of alien contact.
And after that comes the big show.
That's Phase 2, the global laser light show. He literally called it the space show. The idea is to use satellites to project huge 3D holographic images into the upper atmosphere.
Using the sky as a giant movie screen.
Exactly. And they would tailor the projection. So you'd see Jesus over Christian nations, Muhammad over Muslim nations, Buddha, Krishna, all at the same time.
And then what happens?
Then all these different figures would merge into one, the new Messiah, who would announce the dawn of a single, unified, one-world religion.
After the visuals, how do they seal the deal?
That's Phase 3, telepathic trickery. This is where it gets really invasive. The theory says they'd use satellites to beam low-frequency electromagnetic waves directly into people's brains.
Well, not just a sound, but an actual thought.
The goal is to make every single person believe that their God is speaking to them personally, from inside their own head, telling them to accept this new Messiah. It's the ultimate psychological manipulation.
The ambition of this supposed plan is just staggering. What's the final phase?
Phase 4 is universal supernatural manifestations. This is the cleanup operation, designed to deal with anyone who still resists. It has 3 parts.
Okay, give me the wildest one.
The wildest has to be using technology waves sent through fiber optics, power lines, even your TV to make satanic ghosts and poltergeists materialize in people's homes all over the world.
You're kidding?
Nope. The idea is to drive the remaining dissenters to suicide or madness. It's truly a maximalist theory.
Okay, pulling back from the fiber optic poltergeist for a second, the fact that people are drawn to this, what does it tell us about where we are right now?
It points to a really deep and pervasive distrust of authority. People feel that the official answers are not just wrong, but are intentionally deceptive. They're looking for an explanation that feels as big as the lie they believe they're being told.
And the government's own history doesn't help, does it? I mean, with things like Project BLUE book.
Not at all. That's the historical precedent. The Air Force spent over 20 years investigating more than 12,000 UFO sightings, and their conclusion was basically the same as the New Jersey report.
Nothing to see here.
Right. No threat, no advanced tech, no aliens. But when you officially investigate something for that long, it just makes people think you must have found something.
But is there any real-world tech that even remotely resembles what Blue Beam claims? Anything that could, say, beam a voice into someone's head?
This is where it gets tricky. While there's zero evidence for a global mind control plot, there are kernels of real science that get twisted. There has been actual military research into non-lethal weapons that use electromagnetic energy.
What kind of research?
Well, there are documents from the U.S. military and Russia, too, from the 80s and 90s about developing pulsed microwave devices. These could be modulated to deliver an audible signal-like speech directly to a person's auditory cortex.
So a voice in your head that no one else can hear.
Exactly. It's a real documented technological capability. Now, the leap from a small-scale research project to a global system faking the second coming is, immense. But that seed of truth is all a theory, like this needs to grow.
So what we're left with are these 2 parallel stories. You have the mundane reality of some drones in Venus over New Jersey, and then this epic, decades-old conspiracy that the panic brought roaring back to life.
And it leaves you with a really important question to think about. The government is trying to be more transparent now, right? They've set up new offices like AARO to track UAPs, but if they're pouring all this time and money into investigating these things openly, how does that official attention, no matter what they find, actually feed the public's belief that something huge and secret must be going on?
It's a real paradox. The harder they look for a mundane answer, the more convinced some people become that the truth must be extraordinary. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. It makes a huge difference. Thank you for listening to Two Beans in a Pod.